In this video, we're going to focus more on the electrons and how to determine how many electrons are in an atom or an ion. Okay? And so an ion is an atom that is not neutral, that has a non-zero net charge. Okay, so when I just have an atom like Cl here and it's just written like this, we assume that this is neutral. Okay? And then to determine how many electrons are in it, well, we first ask ourselves how many protons are in an atom of this element, which we can determine from the periodic table, because the number of protons is the atomic number. So if I look at chlorine on the periodic table, it has an atomic number of 17. So it has 17 protons, which are positively charged. Remember, neutrons are neutral. They have no charge, so they don't affect the overall charge. Electrons have a negative charge. They have the opposite charge of protons. So if this is neutral, it must have the same number of electrons as protons. So this has 17 electrons. Okay? Now this right here, Cl minus, this is now what we call an ion because it has a non-zero net charge. Now when you just see minus or plus without a number, it's implied that that's a -1. We could write -1 or 1 minus, but typically we just put minus if it's -1 or plus if it's +1. Well, it's still chlorine, so it still has 17 protons. But if it had 17 electrons, it would be neutral like this. It has a -1 charge, so it must have one more negative charge than it has positive charges. So it must have one more electron than proton, so it must have 18 electrons. So here 17 positive, 17 negative, that would add up to 0. Here 17 positive, 18 negative, that would add up to -1, which is correct. And then here we have a magnesium ion, okay, with a +2 charge. Often, usually in chemistry, for the charge, well, first of all, if it's other than 1, we do have to write a number. Okay, again, if it's just 1, we don't typically write the 1, it's implied, but if it's something other than 1, we do need to write the number. Typically, the number is written in front of the sign, so 2 plus, 2 minus. You could write it +2 as well, not a big deal, but it is more common to see it written with the number before the sign. So this has a +2 charge. So again, we first want to see how many protons are in magnesium, which we do using the periodic table. And that is 12 is the atomic number of magnesium. And then it has a +2 charge. So it has 2 more positive charges than negative charges, so 2 more protons than electrons. So it has 10 electrons. And then if we add those together just to check, that's +2. So hopefully that makes sense. If you want a formula to do this, it would be that the charge, the net charge, is equal to the protons minus electrons. So this formula does work. You can use that if it helps you. Personally, I don't really think in terms of this formula when I'm figuring out the number of electrons. I just kind of think with the thought process that I was describing as I was doing those. But if it helps you, this formula does work to determine the number of electrons in an atom or ion.